What's up, guys, and welcome back to Project Time Garage. Project F250, it's getting lifted today. Yeah, that's right. We are back on the Project F250, which is looking mighty non-hoopty these days, isn't it? Stop biting me. Today we're going to put a front leveling kit on this, just to try to make the front and the back not look so like this or like that, or so much for rake in the front. We are using a Wolf suspension lift, which basically consists of a few extra add-a-leaf components under there. I'll leave a link down in Amazon to the kit we're using. Pretty simple stuff. Basically, there's about 4 inches difference between the front and the rear of this truck. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, I don't know, 2.5, maybe 3 under the front. It won't be quite as high as the back is, but it'll be pretty close. So that's going to be our game plan. We've already got the thing jacked up and got the front tires off of it. I didn't show you that because, well, it's pretty dadgum boring. Let me show you what's got to happen next. These brake hoses, they're going to be just long enough. So we're going to pull the calipers off and just zip tie them up somewhere under the on the frame. And then the shocks, we're going to go ahead and get those popped loose. Actually, this one's already popped loose. And the sway bar end link, we'll go ahead and disconnect it on each end. It'll be the same thing over here. As it stands right now, the truck is sitting on 2 jack stands under the edges of the frames, right there under the frame where it comes down for the cabin. There is no pressure on the front differential right now. It's basically just hanging free, and that's what we want. So here in a few minutes, once we get, or actually be tomorrow, once we get the suspension undone, we'll be able to just drop that on down using jacks and gain our clearance to slide those lifting springs in there, and then we'll put it back together. So that's where we're at this point. Stand by and we'll get some more stuff done. I'll show you what we're doing. Get these calipers off. The best thing to do is just get a hold of them and pry. They'll eventually come off.
Plenty of pads.
Yeah, pads look good. Too bad the rotors are ripped off.
Yep.
And on this side, it'll be the same thing. You just have to work. Sometimes it's good if you work top then bottom, then top then bottom. It's just the brakes are just got enough pressure on them to cause this to happen. There we go. All right, so we got the brakes off of it, shocks off of it. Now we'll just need to get sway bar end links disconnected.
That's inside. It's got a couple of drippies going on. You see them?
Yep, I see the drippies.
And it's coming from straight up, so it's gotta be
Turbo pedestal seal. Bet you that's what it is. What do you folks think? Turbo pedestal seals? It has the drippies.
That will be next.
That's a technical term, drippies. All right, sway bar end link disconnected. We're getting down to basically track bar. And basically the track bar is that large bar right there that goes all the way down through there and keeps the axle located under the truck. And there are 2 bolts, one there and one there. Those bolts have nuts, caged nuts on the back of them, or captive nuts on the back of them. They are in a stamped sheet metal plate. That plate is accessible right there. Here's the problem. Since that's all in the frame, laying there at the bottom, over time, grime and debris and whatever, grit, gets caught up in there. And a lot of times you will start to pull those things loose and they'll just strip. And when they strip, you're out of options. You're cutting a hole in the side of the frame. Ask me how I know. So anyway, I guess that's the next thing, to see if we can get the track bar loose. here we go with some terribly overkill ratchet.
I gotta pull it back to me. No.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's off. Shoot, I do gotta pull it back to me.
They always loosen up quick. What do you think about it? Is it feeling weird?
No, it's actually backing out.
Get your other one. Well, no, don't get your other one. All right, it's a brand new day here at Project Time Garage, and let me show you what the first order of the day was. I didn't show it because it's kind of controversial. I'll just leave it at that. But here's the thing: this track bar that runs over to the other side, it has to drop down, and the reason why is it's got spacers that goes in here that locates it further down. And what you've got is you got a bolt that goes in here and a bolt that goes in here up through the frame, right? And there's a hole right there in the side of the frame, and in the side of the frame you have this thing that sits in there, right? It sits in there like that. And this thing has the nuts, or in this case the nut, that this thing bolts up through. Now, what you're going to find is invariably this bolt comes right out of the nut, no problem. But when you start trying to turn this one, it just rounds right out of this stupid little stamped steel nut. Bad design, Ford, bad design. 30 years too late, but still bad design. Anyway, when that happens, you have no other option except to cut a hole in the side of the frame. That's it, that's all you got. Well, why don't you just grind the head off and pull it out? Because you've got a bolt sticking up about that far into this frame. If you grind the head off, you still got the bolt stuck inside the nut, laying inside the frame. It'll move back to about right here, and then it'll get stuck, because this bolt that goes through here is not just a bolt. It's got a it's plug welded all the way through to the other side. You probably can't see in there, but it's got a solid piece of steel that goes all the way across the other side, a tube. So you'll get it to right here, and it won't move any further ever, ever, ever. You're done. You're cutting a hole in the side of the frame. Now, should you cut a hole in the side of your frame? I don't know, man. That's up to you to decide. If you're uncomfortable doing that, I suggest you don't do it. If you're one of these guys that's like, man, you shouldn't have done that, then I agree, you shouldn't do that. When you're all done with it, take the little piece you cut out, weld it back in place. Did it compromise the integrity of the frame? I don't know. There's a lot of holes in the frame now that are a whole lot bigger than the one that I put in there. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. If it ain't for you, don't do it. Okay, so at this point, really everything is disconnected on the truck. We're gonna go ahead and take the U-bolts off. We've got jacks under both sides of the front axle, and the idea is we've got pressure on those jacks, kind of holding the springs compressed a little bit. We'll start to loosen those U-bolts, and we'll start to drop that down. And when it's all said and done, we are just going to create just enough space to slide our little spring additions, our leaf spring packs in there. And that's pretty much it. So let's get to work on that. All right, we've got all the U-bolts off of it now. They actually spun off no problem, especially on the driver's side where we had the oil cooler leak. That helped out more than you realize. All right, here's what we're doing next. So the deal is we're gonna go ahead and start trying to lower this front axle down some. Hopefully with any kind of luck, we can keep everything located this way under the truck. It doesn't slide. Usually that doesn't happen, but we're gonna do our best. The idea is to create just a little bit of space right in this area here, so we can put the little spring packs in there. So let's start easing down on jacks. All right, with everything kind of lowered down here and sort of springy where we have some room here, the next thing is these spring packs are held together with a bolt and a nut. And this bolt and nut will never, ever, ever come off ever in your life, ever, never. Not gonna come off, period. Not gonna do it. Only option is to get a grinder out, grind the head of it off. And at that point, we will, our new spring pack comes with, you know, another bolt to go through it and all that stuff. So next thing we're going to do is get a grinder out and we'll grind the tops of those bolts off. All right, there's that one taken care of. Popped loose. We'll go do the other side next. I'm gonna spare you guys him out there cutting on this, so just know that we're cutting the bolt off the spring pack, same way we did the other side. And when that's done, we'll be back. All right, we're going to go ahead and put the leaf spring pack in this side. It's a fun little process, so watch it struggle. There you go. Get in there?
Yeah, I can push it up.
There. What if I ease some pressure off of the jack?
Through your fingers. Ease some pressure off.
What was that look like? So much pressure threads. I mean, this right here should be just easy as hell to move.
Well, I know the bottom of the bolt's not in this yet.
So what is it going to take to do that?
So this whole axle's got to come forward.
Oh, forward?
Oh,
Like that?
shit.
I mean, most of the stuff moves. Now I probably need to be under the axle, don't I?
No. Which way does it need to go?
This way it looks like.
To get that top bolt? Of the top hole?
Looks like it's just right there, huh?
Yeah, it does. Oh, no. I think if you'd have jacked it up more, it probably would have went right in.
Let's try.
Alright. Here's the nut. Let's get it started. Alright.
Let's see if that thing and tighten it up. Now we're in good shape. It's, oh, you mean the bolts being crooked?
Yeah.
Hopefully, let me ease. I have a hold on this here. All right. So at this point, it's the shock. Top of the shock's got to go back on there, or the shock top thing. And then it's just a matter of putting the U-bolt in and capturing this sway bar mount. Will you put the front one in first for me so I can see how to line this up a little bit better?
Oh.
If it don't fit, don't force it. Just get a bigger hammer.
You gotta get over that.
Yeah, you got to be inside it. Worked fine, looks like. That's it, right? We're completely down. All right, good. All right, the next thing we're going to take care of is putting these spacers on the track bar and getting the track bar put back together. These are just aluminum plugs that they sent with the kit, and this is supposed to lower the track bar enough to help maybe prevent some bump steer. Although, in my experience, there's still a little bit of bump steer going on, but you know, it's not a major thing, so not enough to worry about. I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do, because basically, see what the deal is.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go and in there, and I'm going to find a long bolt and nut, like a temporary one. I'm going to stick in there and just kind of pull it up some, enough to get one started. Then I'll take it out and put the other one in. What do you think about that? Whole lot of bolt in here and stuff. I know I'll have to have probably a 12 or 13 for sure. All right, so that wasn't enough. So what I've done is stuck this spacer under here, and we'll do it again. So much better. Now let's see if we have enough to get it in there. They really should have sent replacement bolts with this, because this is not very good in my opinion. I don't think there's enough threads in here. Now we can take that down and put the original bolt back in it. That's all tightened up. Need to run get the, I'll get a torque wrench real quick. Make sure those are torqued to spec. We'll move right on. Well, you guys get the point. We're torquing U-bolts, or he's torquing U-bolts. I'm watching. I've done this before. Anyway, next step, I guess, for us is to, ooh, I'm washed out there, and ooh, that's better. Next step for us is to get the sway bar end links, or the sway bars hooked back up to the end links. And what's next after that? Shocks. Hook shocks up, front steering stabilizer, and put calipers back on it. And that should be a wrap. Once he's done under there, I'll probably go ahead and lay down and start working on the steering stabilizer. And actually, I think I'll go ahead and work on this shock on the other side too while I'm at it, just because, you know, something to do. All right, cue the montage of putting the shock back on it, and brake caliper, and wheels and tires coming up. All right, we're back together here. The only thing that we have left to do at this point is we're gonna go ahead and swap out these hubs. This one here, I think it's this side, is pretty much locked up. It doesn't spin. Got a new set of hubs to go in it. It's a pretty simple procedure. I'm gonna show you how to do that too. All right, doing these hubs, this is how it works. Turn it around, you'll find these two little things you can pinch, and this is just a retainer ring. And once you get a hold of that, you can just kind of walk it out. Needle nose pliers probably aren't the best things to use, but either way, that's what that looks like. Once you get that far, if you're lucky, they'll pop out. And in this case, popped out. This goes by really fast. As far as the hub itself goes, basically you're just gonna push it in. You can't reuse this locking ring, so this just stays with your old set of hubs. This locking ring is the one that goes in. It's a little bit weird. It's just like a copper split ring like this. And the way you work this is you take one side of it, kind of split it open like that and set it in a groove, and you just basically walk it in. Just one little bit at a time until the whole thing is in the groove in there like that. And that's got that retained. There's an O-ring, and that O-ring goes here on the actual hub itself. At this point, you'll see these three little tabs. They correspond to three little places here in the hub. Basically just set it up there. Probably a good idea to have your bolts out handy at this point. But I'll go ahead and just kind of slowly but surely start moving them up here. We start running them up. Get a couple of them done, then we'll finish up. Don't ugga-dugga them too much because, you know, they'll fall to pieces. That's pretty much it. Not a tough thing. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the raised up version. Where are we at here? Just going from the ground straight to the edge of the fender, roughly 41 inches. But it was about 38 3/4 when I measured it last. So anyway, 41 here, 43 and a half there. Man, I'm sorry it didn't have that squat you wanted.
Yeah, okay.
So basically that was the Wolf suspension lift. It was supposed to be a lift slash leveling kit, but if we had put the entire thing on, see, it came with front and rear. If we put the entire thing on, the truck would have been way up in the back. So anyway, that's the lift and the next installment of things done on this truck. So I know I hadn't had a video out in a week or so. Well, that's because we had vacation and all that stuff going on. So now that we're back, I'm back. So we're doing some work on this. We've got quite a bit more planned on this. We're gonna put a turbo on it. In fact, I think that he said he ordered it. Did you say you ordered a turbo for it already?
Yeah, it's already ordered.
Yeah, so he ordered a turbo for it already. It was the KC Stock Plus turbo. So we'll be doing that, and I imagine we'll be doing some more stuff to it while we're in there, in that vicinity. We got some gauges to put in it and a bunch of other stuff to do, so we're nowhere near done with it. But anyway, guys, as usual, I really appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. Guys, I'll see you next time.